Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is D with MKD58 Media, back again with another movie review. Obviously, I'm coming from a little bit of a different location. I'm recording from the vehicle right now. Every once in a while, I do that, so, just kind of bear with me. I might have to mess with the adjustments and connections a little bit just because I'm in a bit of a different spot, but we're going to make it work, and I'm trying to get back on my Halloween horror type stuff for this month. This is going to be my first full-on official horror Halloween inspired review for this year's Halloween. I think I did about maybe 9 or maybe 10 movie reviews last October that were supposed to kind of be in that horror tradition, and so I kind of want to keep that going for this year. So this is the first kind of beginning of that. I decided to give 92's Bram Stoker's Dracula a watch because I've never seen this movie, though I was pretty much aware of it, but it came out in 92. As a kid, 92, I was way too young to be trying to watch this, and it wasn't even on my radar. It's not even like it was something that I wanted to watch but didn't get to. I wasn't even thinking about this movie in 92. But as I got older, became more aware of films and things like that, this movie did get on my radar, but still I didn't give it a watch. Finally, I gave it a watch last night. And before I say what I thought about it, let me give a quick synopsis of what it's about. Gary Oldman plays Count Dracula, who early on in his origin, when he's kind of like, I guess he's Vlad the Impaler, and he's this kind of prince slash knight or whatever, and basically his wife or his love, she commits suicide because she receives some false information that he died in battle, but it's a battle that he actually was victorious in. So he gets home to find her dead, and he's also informed that because she committed suicide, she can't go into heaven. So she's kind of in this damnation type situation. And Vlad the Impaler, or Count Dracula, he goes kind of crazy and renounces his Christianity and his religion because he feels like, I just won a battle in the name of Christianity, trying to protect it, and now my love basically is doomed by the quote unquote, just going by the movie. I'm not trying to, talk about the actual history of Christianity, but going by the movie, now she's dead because of, she can't go into heaven because of the rules of this Christianity that I just went out there risking my life to protect. So he snaps, sticks a sword into a crucifix, blood comes out, he drinks the blood, and long story kind of shorter, he basically is damned to the life of a bloodsucker. So you fast forward, and Keanu Reeves plays a character named Jonathan, who's a lawyer of sorts, who's going to Transylvania to meet with Count Dracula to discuss a business deal, a land purchase of sorts. So travels to Transylvania to meet with Count Dracula, who right now is in a old kind of state, an old form. It looks kind of like an old man, still creepy, but obviously much older than he was in the beginning of the movie as the kind of young knight slash prince. Meets with Dracula. Dracula happens to see a photo of this woman named Mina, played by Winona Ryder, who happens to be Keanu Reeves' fiance. And she looks just like Dracula's past love that committed suicide years and years earlier in the beginning of the movie. So he basically imprisons Keanu Reeves through different kind of methods. He doesn't necessarily do things forcefully, but basically through his influence, he keeps Keanu Reeves, Jonathan, at his mansion while he goes to London to try to find Mina and try to kind of, I guess, in his mind, get reacquainted and reunited with his love. And that's pretty much what this movie is about, is him trying to get with her. So and there's, more little details in the plot, but I don't want to spend the whole time talking about the plot of the movie. My thoughts on this film: I liked it. I had a very good time with it. I thought it was very interesting. It was disturbing in moments. It was weird in moments, very weird in some moments. This is a bloody film. This is a very sexual film. This is a very gothic, dark movie. It's not for the kind of faint of heart. It's not for the squeamish. If you don't like gore, it's not for you. If you don't like nudity and sex, it's not for you. If you don't like gore and blood mixed with nudity and sex, it's not for you. But with that being said, what I liked about this film, I think the atmosphere, the dark gothic mood is very heavy with this, and for a Halloween watch, I really enjoyed that. Francis Ford Coppola, after watching this movie, I went and watched a lot of behind the scenes type things. I watched an interview of him talking about the movie and why he made some of the choices he made, and that increased my appreciation for this film. Francis Ford Coppola talked about not wanting to use any CGI. He was very adamant about using practical in-camera effects for this film. That shows, and it's a very big plus for this film. Just a very great film to look at in terms of what it looks like, the techniques and things like that. And he clearly goes and uses a lot of kind of old school movie making techniques, and it shows, and it's effective for this movie. Gary Oldman's performance as Dracula is great. Now, Dracula comes in kind of multiple forms in this film. He's in a kind of an older man type form. Then he's in a form where it's basically a young Lothario type form, the form that he pretty much uses to seduce Mina. And then at one point he's in a werewolf form, actually. And when he's in that form, some real weird shit happens. And then he also is in a full-on kind of bat form where he's like this huge, just demonic bat type figure, which is really just was a really impressive practical effects and in makeup and costume and all that stuff when he did that. Like, that scene was just some fantastic practical effects in this movie. I gotta be honest, I was really impressed with this film when it came to that aspect. But my favorite form that he took was his old man kind of form that he has relatively early on in the movie when Jonathan first goes to visit him. That form there was something very unique about it, and it was very creepy because it was a Dracula form that I had never seen before. So it was very unique to me. You've probably seen it in promotions and things like that. That kind of old, very pale skin, of course, old guy with the big kind of hair, two hair buns, just oversized hair buns, and then in the back he has this long braid. The hair is all white, and he has this in the back. He has this long braid running down the middle, and he's in this very long blood red robe that even, it drags on the floor, and he has these very long nails, and his hands are very old and wrinkly, but still very kind of like long, and just creepy. Just his overall presence was creepy. The looks he would give, his voice, just everything. Gary Oldman did a great job with performing this character, and for me in particular, the old man form of the character. So major props to Gary Oldman. What else would I say? Keanu Reeves, he's in this. He's the low point of this movie. There's no way to beat around the bush. I don't want this review to be too long. He's the low point of this movie. I don't know why he was in this. There was no redeeming quality about him in this movie. The only redeeming quality, I suppose, would be if you happen to be someone who has a crush on Keanu Reeves in the 90s or something like that. You might think he's cute in the movie, or maybe that's why they put him in there for heartthrob effect and for to pull in young female fans or something like that. But like, I don't know why he's in this movie, because he does a horrible job. His accent is horrible, his acting in general is horrible. He's just like but excuse me, but with that being said, it's a testament to how good this movie is, because Keanu Reeves is a big part of this movie. He's in this movie pretty much throughout. So you can't forget that he's in the movie. You have to kind of deal with him, so to speak, being in this movie. But there's so much intriguing stuff going on that I'm able to enjoy the film and really appreciate the film, even with one of the major characters being a horrible casting choice and just giving a pretty bad performance. So that's a testament to the movie. It's like Keanu Reeves has a really awesome film happening around him, and he's just kind of there, and you kind of have to watch the movie around Keanu Reeves. Like, you have to kind of ignore him in a way. But if you're able to do that, there's a lot of good stuff here. Great practical effects. The musical score, really love the musical score, how it basically cradles the movie, and it's a great job, has maximum impact with what you're seeing on screen. Love the ominous gothic nature, the artistic choices, some of the, the way things are filmed. This is a gory movie, gory, bloody, sexual, but it's also, there's moments where they don't show you certain things. There are some horrible things that happen that they actually don't show you. There's a scene involving a baby. I'll just leave it at that. I won't go into details on what happens to it, but you kind of know what happens to it by the characters that are around the baby, but they don't show you what happens to it. And that's very effective. Obviously also just because of like kind of film standards, they're not going to show this particular act happening to an infant on screen. So I get it. But just also in terms of just effectiveness, you don't always need to see everything. And so I think this movie makes good artistic choices in that aspect, where it does show you a lot, but it also doesn't show you other things. Some things are just implied. Some things, there's almost kind of a metaphorical nature, symbolic nature to some of the things that are happening and some of the things that you're shown in the way certain things are shown. I thought Francis Ford Coppola did a really good job with just the craftsmanship that went into this movie. My score for this film, I'm going to go 8 out of 10 for Bram Stoker's Dracula. I have to go. I might be looking at it through rose-colored or maybe blood-colored lenses right now, but I just kind of have to go with how I'm feeling right now in the moment about the film. I mean, for a Halloween season watch, this was a really great kind of first watch of the month. Like, I thought this really had all the aspects that you kind of want of a horror type film, a gothic horror film. And I know there's a romantic aspect to this. I've seen people describe this as a gothic romance, a horror romance, and I could see that. I could kind of see, I could very much see how, because they do shoot this movie in the acting and the vibe of this movie is very much where they're trying to do something. There's a romance here. But when you really look into the details of how things transpire, it's hard for me to actually look at this as a real romantic, or not romantic, but a real romance film, because there's so much manipulation and underhanded tactics going on from Dracula that it's hard to actually view this as a true romance, because Mina, like, she doesn't really know what the fuck is going on. Like, if you really look at the details of some of the stuff that's happening and how he gets to her, and some of the just tactics. There's even a kind of a full-on drugging, if you want to put it that way, that he does to her and things like that. Like, it was, when you really look at the details, it's hard for me to be like, oh, this is a romance. This is a truly mutual love. Even though at one point you could argue it is mutual because of something she says and some of the things she's saying, but it's also, it's Dracula. He can influence damn near everything. So, he can kind of make you think you want something that you might not really want. And anyway, I won't go into the weeds with all of that, but technically this is a gothic horror romance, but I don't know how much I view it that way. I'll put it that way. But it is a really gorgeous movie, very bloody, disturbing. Before I get out of here, I will say, I'm not going to go into details as far as what it involves, but there's some straight up basically bestiality that happens in this movie. And when I saw this scene, I don't get shocked too much, because the more and more movies you watch, there's more and more you're not really shocked by certain things. Heads get cut off, all that. You're not. But this happened. This kind of scene, and like I said, it's basically bestiality. There's only one loophole you could use to try to say, well, it's not really bestiality. But as far as I'm concerned, going by what I saw and how I felt when I saw what I saw, like, it was some bestiality. This was some shocking shit, like, for me, just because I was not expecting this in the movie. I didn't know this happened. And yeah, so I guess if you haven't seen this movie before, prepare yourself for this moment, because it is very weird to watch. And it's one of those moments where, unless you're very seasoned and you've just watched all kinds of, those cannibal movies, and there's this movie in the 70s called, like, is it Saw? I forgot what it's called, like I forgot what it's called. I won't even mention it since I'm not going to say the name right. But there's all types of movies that really, like, you got to have a strong stomach and a strong fiber to be able to actually watch and not be totally disgusted. But if you're not like that, there's a scene in this movie that is going to make you be like, what the fuck did I sit down here to watch? Like, what's really going on here? And so this scene did that to me, but I quickly was able to, oh shit, camera wobbling and shit. I quickly was able to kind of, you know, get over it and realize, okay, let's get our bearings here and realize what we're watching. This is Dracula's world, and Dracula can do this. He can turn into this type of creature. He is, you know, a Lothario of sorts. He can't get his mind off the women and whatnot. So this isn't that crazy, but it is crazy because the whole damn thing is crazy in reality if you really think about it. So let's just accept what we're watching and keep watching the movie. So, but it was crazy though. So anyways, 8 out of 10 for this film. I'm gonna leave it there. There's so much more I could say about this movie, but I'm just gonna leave it there. I might have to double back at one point and do some kind of further deep dive or whatever into this film because it was a very intriguing film. I'm glad I gave it a watch. So check it out. Bram Stoker's Dracula. If you liked Interview with the Vampire, this is something you should probably check out. And if you've seen this movie but you haven't seen Interview with the Vampire might be something you should probably check out as well. So that's it for now, you guys. As usual, until the next time, I will catch you on the next one. All right.